The early 2000s was a magic era for roller coasters. We had Six Flags building multiple roller coasters every year, new coaster concepts were rapidly hitting the market, and of course, Intamin was hard at pushing boundaries, creating roller coasters taller and faster than before. Storm Runner opened in 2004, coming out in the dead heat of this new coaster era. Being a hydraulic launch coaster by Intamin Amusement Rides, this coaster was able to stir up a good amount of buzz even after opening 1 year later after Thrill Dragster. Storm Runner's claim to fame was being the first hydraulic launch coaster with inversions, but beyond that one record, the ride was dwarfed in almost every other stat by the other hydraulic launch coasters that preceded it. Speaking of the ride's stats, Storm Runner stands 150 feet tall with a 180-foot first drop. Its max speed is 75 miles per hour, though starting off with a 72 mile per hour launch in 2 seconds. The ride is 2,600 feet long and features 3 inversions. Presentation. Comparing it to other hydraulic coasters, Storm Runner I'd say has the best location. The ride is situated on the side of a hill using the terrain's full advantage to create one unique layout. The theming basically starts and ends with the ride sign, as there is no kind of theming found anywhere else, unless you consider the eerie wind sounds and the amazing voice that commands riders prior to launch.
Here we go.
This roller coaster interacts with multiple attractions including the train, monorail, and Trailblazer, the park's Aero Mine Train coaster. If the ride isn't dodging other attractions, it's weaving through the trees or flying over top guests as they walk Hersheypark's unusual park layout. The color scheme with bright red track, white supports, and yellow train seems to work well. The red track may not be all that inspiring since many of Intamin's projects from the time featured red track. Apparently they had a lot of red paint at their warehouse, who knows, but it still works well for this ride. Considering how well this attraction interacts with its surrounding, I actually think it's going to earn a perfect 10 score. Ride intensity. If you've ridden any hydraulic launch coaster by Intamin, you know this is going to be an intense ride. The launch delivers a nice kick, though not as intense like Top Thrill or King Ka. The rest of the ride keeps up with the intensity by providing snappy transitions at high speeds. Also, I did gray out at the bottom of the top hat. Starting off with a 72 mile per hour launch, Storm Runner wastes no time getting you into the action. After plastering you to your seat, the ride goes vertical with a 90-degree turn to the left. Cresting the 150-foot top hat, the coaster dives straight down into a 180-foot drop. At the bottom of this drop is where the ride reaches its max speed of 75 miles per hour. Storm Runner never slows down as you now enter the first inversion, a giant 135-foot Cobra loop. According to RCDB, this is a one-of-a-kind inversion, but honestly, it looks and functions just like a Sidewinder. The ride flies right back into its final 2 inversions, a heartline roll, which is preceded by a flying snake dive. These 2 inversions are my favorite part of the ride. The hang time during the heartline is great, and the whip you get exiting the flying snake dive is also fantastic. The flying snake dive is also a one-of-a-kind inversion. Basically, midway through a barrel roll, the roller coaster dives straight down to the earth, but continuing on your roll trajectory. The roller coaster finishes off with a couple fast-paced turns while rising up to the brake run. From the launch to brakes, Storm Runner has about 30 seconds of prime ride time. It may be a short ride, but those 30 seconds are action-packed. Storm Runner has a solid variety of strong forces and elements making up to a great ride. I think Storm Runner earns a solid 10 score in the ride intensity category. Fun factor. Piggybacking off of everything I just said about ride intensity, Storm Runner is like a compilation of forces. There's great positives, laterals, and negative G's scattered throughout the ride. Those who enjoy a solid launch will not be disappointed with Storm Runner. If airtime is your thing, the ride delivers a solid few pops of airtime with the strongest dose of airtime experience on the top hat. And also, let's not forget about that amazing hang time / airtime during the heartline roll. Finally, the flying snake dive and that crazy twisted portion at the end of the ride deliver laterals and also still some airtime. I honestly don't know if it's possible to ride this coaster without having a smile on your face. Storm Runner earns yet another 10 score, this time for the fun factor. Originality. When Storm Runner opened in 2004, it was the 3rd hydraulic launch coaster to be constructed. Unlike its predecessors, this roller coaster changed up the ride layout considerably by introducing inversions. Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point and Accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm could be built on any flat piece of land, while Storm Runner is a unique layout customized for Hersheypark. Not only does the ride have a customized layout that features inversions, but it also introduces new elements. I mentioned earlier that the Cobra Loop wasn't really that original, but the Flying Snake Dive is unlike anything else I've been on before. Continuing on with its perfect trend, I'm giving Storm Runner a 10 for originality. Ride smoothness. Being an Intamin, I usually don't have too much to complain in this category, but might notice a rattle here or there. With that said, I don't remember any kind of rattle. All the transitions are smooth. With the addition of the vest restraints, Storm Runner is a comfortable ride experience that I can't think of a reason why I shouldn't give it a perfect 10 score in ride smoothness. Okay, the final score comes to 10, which is a perfect score. In case you're wondering, this is my first technical perfect score. I know that some will fight me on this, but I feel confident that I presented my case as to why Storm Runner is a perfect roller coaster. For what it is, Storm Runner is the complete package. If there is one area that could use improvement is capacity, but that doesn't affect the ride's overall score. Without reiterating myself again and again, this ride delivers on all fronts with airtime, hang time, laterals, and positives. I think if there is one score some might fight me on might be presentation, but again, when you look at the roller coaster and how it's situated and interacts with the park, how could I not give it a 10 score in that category? My personal score is going to be a 10. This is basically the perfect launch coaster. Could the layout be a tad longer? Sure, but the ride that we have now is so much fun that I couldn't imagine changing it up. On average, launch coasters, well specifically hydraulic or pneumatic launch coasters, tend to be on the shorter side. If you have rides like Top Thrill, King to Ka that rely solely on that intense launch, Storm Runner has that launch. It may not be as intense, but it has the launch plus so much more. Well, that wraps up my review of Storm Runner. I know some of you might fight me on my score today, but I say bring it. I know you're going to let me know all about it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe. That way you continue to get more great content brought to you by Extreme Thrills.